20 years later, heartwarming reunion as secret daughter exposes millionaire father in karate. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, excitement buzzed like the crackling fireworks of a summer festival. Sarah's name was on everyone's lips. How could the estranged daughter of a millionaire be competing in a charity karate tournament? The whispers whispered louder, resonating with emotion and intrigue. She held her breath, feeling the weight of history push against her chest. The looming spectacle wouldn't just be a competition. It was her chance to face the man who had left her. Her father, the shadow on her past, now a figure of wealth and power. The days blurred into a whirlwind of anticipation. Sarah's heart raced. She'd learned the art of martial arts at the community center, obsessed with every kick and punch. A flicker of anger stirred within her. Why had he chosen this moment to make his presence known? At the dojo, her friends threw in words of encouragement, but behind their smiles, she could sense their unease about the looming confrontation. This tournament encapsulated everything: her dreams, childhood pain, and a newfound warrior spirit. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. And then, a gut-wrenching revelation struck her. News rippled through the town like wildfire. Her father's rise had come at the expense of a beloved local veteran. Sarah's heart twisted at the thought. The man she barely knew had harmed those she loved. Every practice session, every drop of sweat, became a reflection of this tangled mess. The community had thrived on values of hard work, and here was her father, standing on the opposite side of that very coin. It felt like a betrayal carved deep, compounding her determination. As the tournament date loomed, nerves mixed with determination stirred her spirit. Each punch in the dojo didn't just hone her skills, it ignited a fierce fire in her soul. This was her moment, not just to prove herself, but to embrace all the struggles her single mother had weathered to give her a fighting chance. Every match would be a testament to her resilience. Then, the day arrived, a festival of emotions. The gym echoed with the roars of the crowd as Sarah stepped onto the mat. She felt every heartbeat, every flicker of hope and fear merge into one. The atmosphere crackled. The air was thick with expectation. It was time to showcase the fighter she had become, the daughter who could finally take a stand against not just her father, but the echoes of her past. She faced tough opponents, but each victory felt like a step toward mending her fractured world. As she advanced in rounds, her gaze flicked to the crowd, her mother's proud nod, old friends cheering her on. But looming ahead was the inevitable face-off with her father. When that moment arrived, silence fell like a heavy blanket. The tension could be sliced with a knife. Her fists clenched, not only as a means to defend her honor, but as a way to confront the fractured bond of family, love, and betrayal, all waiting to be unleashed. Would this fight finally bridge the chasm between them, or would it echo as yet another painful reminder of a bond long severed? The air hung thick with anticipation, crackling with raw emotion, and as Sarah squared off against him, every emotion she'd bottled surged forward, an unstoppable wave. The match began with a sudden intensity, both competitors stepping into their stances, eyes locked. The gym, once alive with cheers, now held its breath. Sarah felt the pulse of her heart in her ears, drowning out everything but the determination coursing through her veins. Time froze as if the world outside had disappeared, leaving just her and the man whose actions had shaped her life in ways she could never fully understand. He did not look like the villain she had imagined. Instead, he appeared almost vulnerable, shadows under his eyes revealing the weight of regret. Sarah swallowed hard, wrestling with the swirl of conflicting feelings. Anger, confusion, and a hint of longing danced within her. But she couldn't afford to falter now. The referee's whistle blew, slicing through the electric tension. Sarah sprang forward with practiced precision, delivering a powerful kick aimed at his side, but he moved quickly, blocking her strike. The impact reverberated through her leg, sending a jolt of fire up her spine. Gritting her teeth, she recovered and pressed on, launching into a flurry of punches. Each jab was a release, peeling back layers of hurt she had carried for far too long. As they exchanged blows, flashes of her childhood flickered in her mind. Her mother's tired smile, the way she tucked Sarah safely into bed, whispering promises of a brighter future. Sarah fought not just for victory, but for every moment lost, and every unspoken word shared between her and her father. Suddenly, in a surprising move, he countered, catching her off guard. His fist grazed her cheek and she stumbled back, a gasp escaping her lips. It was the first time they had ever really touched, and the sensation sent a ripple of emotions through her. With the crowd's dual reactions swirling around her, each gasp and cheer seemed to echo her internal struggle. A fight not just against him, but against her own history. But she refused to stay down. Rising up with renewed vigor, Sarah found the strength buried deep within her. Her resolve surged. She thought of the community rallying behind her, of the messages of hope echoing through the dojo, of her mother's unwavering support. She was ready to confront everything. With a fierce battle cry, she lunged forward, surprising him with a well-honed spinning kick that knocked him back. As her father stumbled, a flicker of shock crossed his features, and for a brief moment, she saw something shift within him, something like pride. It sent a piercing clarity through her. This was not just a fight, it was a moment of reckoning. In the center of that gym, amid the roars and cheers, Sarah realized she wielded not just her fists but the power of her truth. She was more than just the daughter of a millionaire. She was a fighter, molded by pain and love, ready to claim her voice. With the match reaching its peak tension, she prepared for her final move, aware that this was the moment everything could change. Would she emerge victorious, finally breaking down the walls between them, or would it turn into yet another cycle of hurt and unspoken words? As she focused intently on her opponent, a breath caught in her throat and she took a step forward. The crowd held its breath, unsure of what would happen next. Sarah steeled her nerves, ready to unleash everything she had. But then, a voice from the crowd called out, shaking the foundations of her resolve. "Sarah, remember who you are!" In that instant, everything felt both clear and chaotic. Who am I, really? As she prepared to strike, uncertainty washed over her. Would she finally confront not just her father, but the truth within herself? The moment hung in the air, like an unfinished sentence. Sarah's heart raced, each beat like a drum, amplifying her doubts and fears. That voice. It echoed in her mind. Who was she in this swirling storm of emotions? Was she just a daughter seeking validation, or a warrior poised to reclaim her life? Her father seemed to sense her hesitation, his brow furrowing as he regained his footing. She watched him carefully, trying to disentangle the feelings that knotted in her stomach. Anger surged, mixing with something softer, a desperate hope for connection. Each moment felt like an eternity, the crowd a backdrop of mixed emotions that mirrored her own. Sarah! Her name rang out, a tether anchoring her to the present. The cheers, the shouts, faded into murmurs, replaced by the critical, trembling voice inside her. Was she truly ready to confront the man who had been a ghost in her life? Taking a deep breath, she recalled her mother's stories, the ones that painted her father not just as a wealthy stranger, but as a man forged by choice and consequence. Her fists clenched tighter, and for the first time she realized she fought not just for herself but for every part of her story. Her childhood, her dreams, and yes, even the hurt. She was ready to own it all. With a swift movement, she focused on her father once again, determination lining her features. No more fear. No more doubt. Each kick and punch before him had been an attempt to reclaim what he had taken. It was her past colliding with her present, a collision of identities. The whistle blew again, snapping her focus back to the match. The tension thickened around them, electrifying the air. He came at her again, faster this time, a combination of strikes that mirrored her own. Block, counter, move. She felt the rhythm, each exchange becoming a dance. A fight she could finally understand not merely as physical prowess, but as a testament to her growth. Then it happened, a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. He threw a roundhouse kick and she ducked, pivoting swiftly to land squarely in front of him. She could feel the room shift, a collective inhalation from the crowd, as if they all sensed the pivotal choice looming. "Stop!" she shouted, and her voice broke through the haze. He halted, surprise etched across his face. "Why are we fighting?" The question hung heavy in the air, glancing off the walls of the gym like applause waiting to happen. He hesitated, the barriers built over years cracking. "I never wanted this." "Then let's change it." The passion in her voice surprised even herself. She didn't want to be just the girl fighting a man who barely recognized her. She wanted to be something more, a daughter willing to forge a new bond. The tension shifted. He stepped back, eyes softening. "What do you want, Sarah?" Seeing a flicker of hope in his expression, she gathered her breath, preparing her truth, ready to step out of the fight and into a conversation that could change everything. And as the crowd bobbed with anticipation, feeling the shift in energy, Sarah realized that her journey had just taken a turn she hadn't expected. This wasn't just about fury, it was about healing and the possibility of redemption. But just as she felt the warmth of understanding seep in, a loud crash reverberated through the gym, jolting everyone back into reality. A figure appeared at the entrance, shattering the moment. An unexpected face from her past. "Sarah!" the stranger yelled, urgency in their voice. "You need to come with me, it's about your mother." The gym fell silent, the air once again thick with shock. Sarah's heart dropped, and the gravity of that moment became undeniable. Who was this person? What could they possibly know? And just like that, the battle she faced in the ring paled against the new storm brewing outside of it. Did she have the strength to face yet another truth? Sarah felt the world tilt on its axis. The voice, the call to action, reverberated within her. Glancing back at her father, she saw disbelief dance in his eyes, fleeting and unsure. The challenge they just faced had been monumental, yet it seemed overshadowed by this sudden seismic shift. She took a step toward the figure by the door, adrenaline surging. The person who stood there wasn't just a stranger. There was something familiar about the way they carried themselves. Hair pulled back, a determination in their stance. Was it a glimmer of recognition? "Who are you?" Sarah demanded, each word laced with a mix of authority and vulnerability. The crowd murmured, curiosity tinged with worry. "It's me, Rachel," the stranger replied, voice trembling as if the weight of the truth threatened to pull them under. "We don't have time. Your mother, she needs you." The mention of her mother sent a jolt through Sarah. They had barely processed their moment before this urgent revelation knocked them off balance again. Her heart beat fiercely, breaths shallow. Memories of her mother, every story, every hug flooded her mind. "Why didn't she come?" she asked, her voice softer now, almost a whisper. It felt like a plea. Rachel stepped closer, the tension palpable. "She's in danger, Sarah. She's been trying to protect you, but what?" The unspoken words lingered in the air like smoke. Sarah turned her gaze back to her father. Could he possibly hold answers? In that moment of eye contact, she saw the way he tensed. The man she had just dared to challenge now appeared lost in a sea of uncertainty. Could he be part of a bigger picture? A gasp escaped the crowd. They were still watching, documenting every shift, and Sarah felt the weight of eyes on her, tethering her to this moment. "Stay," she commanded, her tone sharp as she faced her father. "What do you know about this?" His lips parted, guilt mingling with fear. "Sarah, I can explain, but not here." The noise of the gym dulled, and all of a sudden, it became a far-off echo. Here was the crux of her life, a moment where her past and present collided fiercely. Did she dare to walk out of the ring that had defined her so long? "No," she said, shaking her head. "If there's something I need to know, I want to know it now." Rachel turned back toward the entrance, urgency growing. "They're coming. We don't have time for this." In that split second, Sarah made her decision. She could either play it safe, stay in the ring's embrace, or take that query with her. "We can talk on the way," she declared, casting her father a final look that was equal parts challenge and hope. A shiver of disbelief passed through her father's eyes, as if she were unspooling a tapestry they had woven over years. But the pull towards Rachel, towards her mother, was too strong to ignore. She stepped towards the door, the adrenaline coursing through her. As she crossed the threshold, she felt the electric energy of the crowd behind her. It was clear. The battle fought in the ring paled against the fight she was now stepping into. In that moment, she vowed to uncover the truth, no matter how dark or tangled her family history might be. She wanted answers, and she was ready to confront whatever lay beyond those walls. With Rachel leading the way, Sarah felt both empowered and terrified, wondering what secrets would be unveiled and how they might change her life forever. As they rushed into the unknown, a nagging thought echoed through her mind. What other truths had been hidden, carefully shrouded in silence, and once revealed, would she still be able to recognize the world she thought she knew? They burst through the door. The cold air outside hit Sarah like a slap to the face. She drew in a breath, the stark contrast rekindling her senses. She was no longer in the safety of the gymnasium, where echoes of cheers had once filled her with joy. Now, urgency pulsed through her veins, mingling with a rush of fear. "Where are we going?" Sarah asked as Rachel hustled ahead, glancing anxiously over her shoulder. The streetlights flickered, illuminating their paths, but darkness threatened any sense of direction. "To a safe place," Rachel replied, voice steadier now, but dread was still etched on her brow. "You'll understand soon, I promise." Memories of her mother loomed larger than life, the warmth of her hugs, the stories that were woven into her bedtime memories. If her mother was in danger, why hadn't she come for Sarah herself? Could she be in a situation worse than anything Sarah had ever faced in that ring? Rachel led her down an alley, and suddenly the city felt like a labyrinth. Sarah's heart pounded. She needed answers, but dread clung to her like a heavy coat. "Rachel, you mentioned my mother. What's going on?" "I can't say much right now," Rachel replied, urgency crackling in her voice. "You'll be safer once we get out of sight." The adrenaline kept her moving, but doubt crept in. Was Rachel trustworthy? How could she know her mother was in danger? She tried to remember the last time she had seen Rachel. It had been years, and yet here they were, intertwined in the depths of secrets and shadow. As they reached a small, dimly lit cafe that looked more like an abandoned hideout than a coffee shop, Rachel pushed open the door. The dim light was a relief. It was as if they had crossed into a different realm, away from the chaos outside. They took a corner table hidden from view, and Rachel leaned closer, her voice lowered. "Sarah, your mother tried to shield you from this life. She thought you were safe, but things have changed." "What do you mean?" Sarah felt her heart quicken again, hardly daring to breathe. In her gut, she had a sinking feeling that whatever Rachel had to say would change everything. "I can't tell you everything yet," Rachel said, glancing at the door nervously. "But there are people out there who are looking for you. People who aren't just connected to your mother. They're connected to your father." Sarah's blood ran cold at the mention of her father. "What? Why?" "Because he's not who you think he is." Rachel's words landed heavy between them. "There are things he hasn't shared, secrets that could change your relationship forever." Confusion twisted in Sarah's stomach, mingling with a fierce drive to uncover the truth. They were in this deep, and she was not about to pull back. "What do you mean? Does he have something to do with my mother's disappearance?" "Yes," Rachel nodded solemnly, the weight of the truth reflected in her eyes. "And it's time for you to decide what you're willing to fight for." Before Sarah could respond, the cafe door swung open, and in walked a figure shrouded in shadows. The air thickened with tension as Rachel caught sight of him, her face paling. "Quick, we need to go," she hissed under her breath, eyes wide. As they stood to leave, Sarah's heart raced. This was the moment of choice, fight or flight. The thrill of adrenaline gnawed at her, but deeper still was a yearning for clarity and connection. "Rachel, what do I do?" she whispered. But the figure approached, and a chilling voice called out her name. "Sarah." In that instant she knew the fight was only just beginning, and whatever lay ahead could unravel the very fabric of all she thought she knew. What if this encounter was the key to digging deeper into her family's tangled web? The figure stepped closer, the dim light illuminating a face that felt both familiar and foreign. Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief. It was Paul, the man her mother used to talk about in hushed tones. The man her father had called a ghost of their past. "Sarah," he said again, his voice laced with an urgency that made her pulse quicken. "We need to talk." Her instincts screamed at her to run, to find safety, but curiosity rooted her in place. "Who are you? Why are you here?" "Rachel, I thought you'd keep her safe." He shot an accusing glance at Rachel before returning his gaze to Sarah. "You don't know the half of it. Your mother's been trying to protect you, but now the walls are closing in. You're in danger, and I'm here to help." "Help?" Rachel's voice dripped with skepticism, her brow furrowing. "You don't just come barging in like this, Paul. You don't know what's at stake." "Trust me, Rachel." He turned back to Sarah, desperation in his eyes. "Your mother's actions were part of something much bigger. There are people hunting you, dangerous people who think you hold the key to something they want." "Key to what?" Sarah asked, her voice steady even as fear lapped at the edges of her resolve. "What do I have that they want?" "The truth about your lineage," Paul replied, each word intentional. "You weren't just born into this world randomly, Sarah. Your father is involved in things far darker than you realize, things that could change everything you know about your family." Her mind whirled. She felt the heaviness of all that he was implying settle over her like a storm cloud. "You mean my father is involved in what? Crime? Why would he keep that from me?" "Because he loves you," Paul said, an intensity in his tone that stabbed at her heart. "But love can be a dangerous thing, especially in this world, and it could get you killed if you're not careful." In that moment, Sarah remembered the times her parents' conversations had been hushed, the way they had grown tense whenever the phone rang at odd hours. They had tried to create a normal life for her, one that didn't reflect the secret shadows lurking just outside. "Why shouldn't I just go to him?" Sarah's voice broke the silence. "He's my father." "In this case, that might not matter," Rachel interjected. "Do you really believe he'll tell you everything? Or do you think he'll spin another web of lies to keep you in the dark?" Sarah's chest tightened. Her father had painted a picture of safety and normalcy that felt increasingly fabricated. Could she rely on him? Or was he hiding a more sinister truth? "Sarah!" Paul stepped closer, lowering his voice. "They're coming for you. If you want to stay safe, you need to go with me now. Time is running out." Before she could process the weight of his words, a loud crash echoed from the cafe entrance. Something, a large object, had hit the door, splintering wood and sending a chill through her spine. "Get down!" Rachel shouted as they ducked behind the table just as more people surged through the door. They were here for her, and in that heartbeat, all the illusions of safety shattered. Sarah's heart raced. This was not just about uncovering truths anymore, it was about survival. "Help me," she breathed, looking into Paul's eyes, hoping he would understand the depth of her fear. But as darkness settled in and the figure loomed closer, she felt something welling up inside her. A flicker of defiance ignited in her chest. This was her fight now. No more waiting and no more hiding. Whatever secrets waited to be unearthed, she was ready to face them head on. "Let's do this," she muttered through gritted teeth, her pulse singing with determination. But as she prepared for what lay ahead, a new realization struck her. What if discovering the truth changed her forever? The air in the cafe crackled with tension as the intruders advanced. Shadowy figures moved like phantoms, their intentions masked behind hardened faces. Sarah's heart slammed against her ribcage. She glanced at Rachel, who looked equally fretted, and then back at Paul, whose eyes were wide with urgency. "Go now," he shouted, urgency lacing his voice as he motioned toward the back door. "We don't have much time." Without giving it another thought, Sarah grabbed onto Rachel's arm. "Come on," she urged, pulling her toward the exit. Their feet pounded against the worn wooden floor, the noise echoing in the confined space. Just as they reached the door, a deep voice called out from behind them. "Where do you think you're going?" The tone was menacing, sending chills down Sarah's spine. She turned to face the figure, and all her instincts screamed at her to run faster. "Get it open!" Paul yelled at Rachel, who fumbled with the knob, fingers trembling. The door swung open, and a cool breeze gusted through, offering a brief moment of relief. They didn't look back. Sarah bolted outside, the night air washing over her like a refreshing wave, but the dread still loomed over her. "Run!" Paul shouted, and they sprinted down the alley, their footsteps pounding against the pavement. Time felt like a blur, every second stretching out like an eternity.
"Where do we go?" Sarah gasped, glancing over her shoulder to see if they were being followed. The alley seemed endless, a winding path with darkness on all sides. "Just keep moving," Paul urged, his tone steadier than she felt. "I know a place where we can hide. It's safe, at least for now." As they turned the corner, Rachel stumbled and nearly fell. "I can't keep this up," she panted, leaning against a brick wall for support.
"We have to!" Sarah felt the weight of their situation crashing down. Their lives were no longer what they seemed. Everything turned upside down in a matter of moments. She had trusted her family, believed in their normality, and now, that world felt like a lie. "Keep going," Paul exclaimed, gripping Rachel's arm gently but firmly and encouraging her to move again. "You're stronger than this, both of you." With every ounce of discipline, Sarah pushed her body onward. The rush of adrenaline momentarily masked her fear, providing a surge of strength. They rounded another corner, and ahead loomed an old warehouse, its windows dark and ominous. Paul led them toward the entrance, scanning the area for signs of danger. "Is this where you thought we would be safe?" Sarah asked, doubt creeping into her voice as she observed the crumbling walls. "Yes, trust me," he said, his gaze serious. "They won't expect us here. Just keep quiet." As they stepped inside, the scent of rust and dust enveloped them, a stark reminder of how desperate their situation had become. The vast emptiness echoed their breathing, and Sarah's eyes wandered around, searching for potential escape routes. This place felt haunted, and she couldn't shake the chill running down her spine. "What now?" Rachel whispered, holding her breath as if afraid to make a sound. Paul took a moment to gather his thoughts. "We wait here for a bit. I need to figure out our next move, but you both need to understand, this is far from over. They will come for you, and we need to be ready." As the weight of his words settled in, Sarah's mind raced. She looked from Paul to Rachel, both of whom were equally shaken, yet there was a hint of resolve surfacing in their expressions. "What if—" Sarah began, her voice no more than a trembling whisper. "What if they find us here? What if we're not safe?" Paul stepped closer, lowering his voice to a near-silent murmur. "If they find us, we fight. I won't let them take you away. Not now. Not ever." In that moment, something shifted in her. The urgency of her situation ignited a fire within her. She would fight, not just for herself, but for the truth she now carried. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah clenched her fists, preparing for whatever was to come. She was no longer the girl who stood in fear. If she had a chance to uncover who she truly was and what lay hidden in her past, she would seize it. But deep down, a terrifying question lingered. What truth lay beyond these walls, and would it shatter everything she held dear? The darkness outside stirred. As they strained to listen, the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance, creeping closer. In the dim light of the warehouse, silence hung heavy, broken only by the distant footsteps that made their hearts race. Sarah's breath quickened, each inhale sharp with dread. She exchanged fearful glances with Rachel, who had gone pale as a ghost. Paul, ever the steadfast protector, remained calm, eyes narrowed on the entrance as if willing the shadows to retreat. "Do you think it's them?" Rachel's voice barely broke the suffocating quiet, but the tremor in her tone was loud enough to draw their attention. "It could be," Paul replied, his gaze steady. "But we can't panic. We need to be smart." Smart, easy for him to say. Sarah felt the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. They were hiding in a forgotten place, and though it seemed a temporary refuge, the last thing she wanted was to find out someone was looking for them. She grasped Rachel's hand for comfort, squeezing it tightly as if to share strength. The footsteps grew louder, and a surge of adrenaline surged within her. Footsteps meant movement, movement meant presence, and presence meant danger. What had seemed like a safe haven now felt like a trap, closing in around them. "Do you hear that?" Sarah whispered urgently, her voice low, trying to contain the chaos brewing inside her. "Yes," Paul said, shifting slightly closer, his protective instinct heightened. "I want you both to stay behind me. If they come in, I'll handle it." Their hearts pounded in unison as the footsteps neared the entrance. A figure appeared at the door, silhouetted against the flickering light from outside. For a heartbeat, time froze. Who was it, friend or foe? The figure stepped in, revealing a worn jacket and a cap pulled down low. Recognition sparked in Paul's eyes, and he stepped forward cautiously. "Jake?" Jake lifted his head, and a tight smile broke across his face, relief washing over his features. "I was hoping I'd find you here. I heard about what happened at the cafe. We need to get you out of here." "Out?" Rachel echoed, uncertainty creeping in. "Who's coming for us?" "More than just one group. It's bigger than we thought. But right now we don't have time to explain. Trust me, if we don't move now, it'll be too late." Sarah's mind swirled. Trust. That simple word felt as heavy as an anchor in her chest. Hadn't trusting led them to this moment of calamity already? But there was no time for hesitation. Paul nodded, and that was enough. They all knew they had to stick together. "All right, lead the way," Paul said, stepping forward and exchanging a look with Sarah. She nodded, ready to follow. As they slipped back into the shadows of the warehouse, a glimmer of hope peeked through her fear. Could this be their chance? The way out? She clenched Rachel's hand tighter, their connectedness a lifeline in the turmoil. But as they navigated through the maze of the building, another sound cut through the tension, a shattering noise from the entrance. They had been followed. "Run!" Jake barked, urgency lacing his voice once more. As they darted towards the back exit, adrenaline surged through Sarah's veins, propelling her forward. They barreled through the doorway, bursting into the cool night air, longing for freedom. But as they sprinted across the open ground, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the real danger was only beginning. What truths awaited them, and what would they have to face to survive? Ahead, a car idled with its headlights off, a shadowy figure waiting behind the wheel. Was it salvation, or another trap? The question hung in the air, heavy and foreboding, as they skidded to a halt just short of the vehicle. Sarah's heart raced in her chest. Did she dare approach? Or was it time to confront her fate head-on? The figure in the car leaned forward, the dim light barely revealing his features. For a moment Sarah hesitated, her instincts screaming at her. Trust was a fragile thing, easily broken, and the fear swelling in her chest made every muscle in her body tense. "Get in!" Jake urged, glancing back toward the warehouse as if expecting pursuers to emerge at any moment. Rachel squeezed Sarah's hand, her eyes wide with uncertainty. What if it's a trap? "I don't think we have a choice," Paul said, his tone firm. "If they're after us, we need to leave now." The urgency in his voice pushed Sarah into action. She swallowed hard, steeling herself for the unknown. Who was this stranger? Did they have even a shred of hope to hold on to? But behind them, the sound of shouts and heavy footsteps echoed through the night. Time was slipping away. Sarah moved first, breaking the tension as she pulled open the car door. The inside felt cramped and heavy with anticipation, but also, strangely, safe. She slid into the back seat, followed closely by Rachel, while Paul took the front, his protective demeanor settling in as he faced the stranger. The driver was older, his face lined with experience and worry. "I'm Marcus, friends of Jake," he said, glancing back with a quick nod before flicking his eyes to the rearview mirror. "I know it's hard to trust, but right now, that's our only option. What if he was wrong?" Sarah caught Rachel's worried gaze in the dim light. But before she could voice another concern, Marcus stomped on the gas, the engine roaring to life. Adrenaline surged as they barreled down the darkened street, the city lights flashing by like scattered stars. "What happened?" Jake asked, drawing everyone's focus away from their fears. "They're not supposed to find us this quickly." "They've been hunting us for weeks," Rachel whispered, her voice trembling despite her attempt to keep it steady. "It's like they know knows we're connected. A heavy silence descended, each of them grappling with the weight of the past, the unseen ties binding them together now more than ever. Sarah clutched Rachel's hand tighter, her heart thudding in her chest. "Who's hunting us?" Her voice trembled as she asked. She needed answers. "No time for that yet," Marcus said, his attention fixed on the road ahead. "We just need to put as much distance as we can between us and those after you. We'll figure it out next." They sped through the city, weaving around corners, the sense of unease slowly giving way to a flickering hope. If they survived this, there might still be a way to uncover the truth behind their plight, a truth that could either destroy or redeem them. But was there a reason for hope at all? As they drove further away, Sarah's thoughts bounced between her love for Rachel and the worry for what awaited them. Her mind raced as memories cascaded, distant echoes of laughter, feelings of safety, bursts of pure joy too quickly shattered. The car suddenly came to a halt. "We need to lay low for a bit," Marcus said, glancing out of the window. They parked behind an old gas station, forgotten and hidden in the night. "Okay, what's next?" Paul asked, scanning the darkened surroundings. "Let's catch our breath and figure out how to get out of this mess. Trust me, you'll want to hear the full story before we make our next move." A chill ran through Sarah as she glanced at the others. Were they ready for whatever revelation would come? But deep down, amidst the fear, a flicker of determination ignited. They had come too far to turn back now. As she sat there in the stillness, anticipation weighing in the air, Sarah wondered if they were about to face their darkest secrets, or perhaps discover a strength they never knew they had. What awaited them when they finally uncovered the truth? Would it lead them to freedom or drag them into deeper shadows? The question hung in the air, waiting for an answer as they prepared for the next step. Inside the dimly lit gas station, silence blanketed the group, thick and taut as a drawn bow. Sarah could feel the anticipation in the air, reverberating off the walls like a heartbeat of its own. They huddled close, conscious of every flickering shadow and the heavy weight of secrets yet to be unveiled. "Okay," Marcus began, breaking the stillness. "Let's get to it." Everyone leaned in, eager for reassurance, while also bracing for impact. "Your mother, Sarah," he said, the solemnity in his voice sending a shiver down her spine. "She was involved in something dangerous, which is why she kept you away from your father. Something that could put you at risk if it ever came to light." "What are you saying?" Rachel's voice trembled with urgency. "Your family isn't just a family," Marcus continued, his eyes darting towards the windows as if seeking protection beyond the glass barriers. "Your father is part of a network, a powerful man with connections that run deep into unsavory territories. Your mother feared what might happen if you were ever connected to him." As the pieces began to tumble together in Sarah's mind, she felt the ground shift beneath her. The stories her mother told her had been laced with veiled warnings, cloaked in the guise of bedtime tales filled with heroes and villains. But now the truths twisted into something darker, folding into a trap they'd be lucky to escape. "What does this have to do with us?" Sarah asked, her voice snapping from disbelief into determination. "Why would anyone come after Rachel and me?" "Because you're linked," Paul answered, stepping closer, his face serious. "To him, and to what your mother tried to protect you from. Secrets that could change everything." Tension balled up in Sarah's chest, the whirlwind of confusion and fear spiraling into sharp clarity. Her father, the man considered untouchable, was rooted in shadows that threatened everything she had built. "But I'm not what they want," Sarah shot back, anger rising. "I just want to know the truth." "And knowing the truth puts you at risk," Marcus interjected gently. "But you also have a right to know. Your mother loved you more than anything, Sarah. That's why she made sacrifices." The flood of emotions welled within Sarah, forces of fragility and strength intertwining. The aching void in her heart twisted under the weight of Marcus's words, and suddenly, all she longed for was clarity. "Where is she?" Sarah's voice quivered, a balance between fear and fierce longing. "Is she safe?" "Right now, yes," Jake said, his expression reassuring yet grave. But with everything going on, that could change very quickly. Then we need to find her, Sarah asserted, a newfound resolve carving determination into her bones. They were on a precipice, staring into the unknown. Secrets and lies danced dangerously, but that made her want the truth more than ever. First, we need to stay safe, Marcus said, his tone low, yet authoritative. We'll regroup, then we can figure out our next move, but you cannot retaliate in a world you know nothing about. As reality began to settle, Sarah swallowed hard. They were all roped into something far bigger than they knew. The reality of being pulled into her father's tangled web tightened the loops around her heart, but the defiance within her screamed for action. Rachel caught her eye and nodded softly, the bond that whispered understanding. Whatever it takes, Rachel affirmed, her voice steady. We'll find her, Sarah. We'll face whatever is out there together. In that moment, Sarah felt the surrounding chaos lift, replaced by the warmth of their friendship, strong and unwavering amid the storm. It became clearer. This wasn't just about the secrets hidden away. It was also about reclaiming their lives, their narrative. Through the haze of fear, Sarah realized what they needed to do. Let's harness the information we have, she said firmly. We need to turn this around. No more running. It's time to uncover the truth and confront my father and anyone else that stands in our way. Paul and Marcus exchanged looks, the gravity of her words hanging in the air like a challenge. They were safe for now, but the real battle loomed like a dark shadow on the horizon. All right, Marcus said at last, a determination rising. But if we're going to do this, it has to be strategically planned. We can't let them catch us unaware. With that, a shift of possibilities hung in the air. The group shared an understanding. Each step moving forward carved a path toward understanding, redemption, and perhaps a reunion with her mother. Together, Sarah said, heart racing with a mix of fear and belief in their potential. We'll stand together, face whatever comes, and protect what matters. As the shadows of the past mingled with the dim light of their present, Sarah steeled her resolve. She had found her purpose, burning bright. No longer would she simply be the daughter in shadows. She was a warrior, filled with the spirit of her mother, and nothing would stop her from uncovering the truth. The night outside remained subtle, but the storm within her heart raged, ready for the battles to come. She had made a vow, to embrace her identity and fight. And in that promise was a flicker of hope, demonstrating that every truth uncovered would lead her one step closer to finding herself amid a world fraught with danger and deception. Let's go, she declared, the flicker of determination igniting into a flame. They made their way back into the night, every heartbeat filled with a sense of unwavering purpose, because the time for running was over, and the time for confronting was just beginning. The stories that had shadowed her life stood ready to reveal themselves, and with unwavering courage, Sarah would embrace the truth, no matter where it led. Now, we've reached a crucial turning point. If you felt the adrenaline rush of Sarah's journey, then it's your turn to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. What would you do in Sarah's shoes? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's keep the empowerment going.